thought from so many circles within Zimbabwe at the moment. We know and understand that at the moment, legal constitutional amendment bill number 3 of 2026 have sailed through the Parliament of Zimbabwe. I'm trying to get my lights right. We know that at the moment the illegal constitutional amendment bill sailed through the Parliament of Zimbabwe, and we are looking forward in few days for this bill to actually go through the upper house, that is the Senate, where the Senate will also debate the bill. From there, the bill will go back to Parliament and eventually go back to Emmerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa to be ascended if this process goes through as planned. But the mind-boggling question is it a done deal? I've seen there are projections at the moment from those who support Emmerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa that this is already a done deal. But I'm of the opinion that at this moment it will be early for them to count the chickens before the eggs hatches. Greetings and welcome to your lovely channel, the Hlonipani Global News. If you're watching us for the very first time, please do remember to press the red or black subscribe button so that next time when we beam live, you become the very first one to watch us. So, is CAB3 a done deal? I don't think so. I think it's far from being a done deal. Even if it sails through the Senate, it will be still far from a done deal. Even if Emmerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa may sign it into law, the question is, will he finish his term? And most probably will finish this year. I don't foresee that happening. Why do I hold this view? ZANU-PF from its inception has never actually dealt with issues of succession through voting. Voting has never been a process that determines ZANU-PF succession historically. It has always been the military intervention that decides on who eventually stands as the president, who eventually takes over. At the moment, we know it's quite clear. If you see, there are some groups of war veterans that are opposed to the current constitutional amendment bill number 3 of 2026, and they come out and they even say those who have aided it will face consequences. Those who have participated in bringing this bill to life are definitely going to face consequences. Now, do you think these individuals may utter those statements out of nothing? I think this would be limited understanding of political situation in Zimbabwe. Remember, before Parliament proceeded with its activities and concluded them, there were warning shots that were fired to the members of Parliament, and there are still also judiciary processes that are going on. I'm yet to find out on whether the war veterans have filed, or I think they are still yet to file their challenge to the lower courts. The other time, they had instructed Professor Love Momaduku to quickly file their challenge to the lowest court, but we have not seen that process being reported to have sailed through. We are still actually, but I don't think going to the judiciary, I don't think, the other faction going to the judiciary, if that is the sole strategy, then they are not going to make it. Unless if it is a strategy that is meant to buy time or to really give Emmerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa to think through. You see, it may be a mechanism to try and show him that you are almost getting Zimbabwe into where it was in 2017, hoping that that he may the developments may make him or may encourage him to revise his plan at the moment to continue leading Zimbabwe. I mean, it's not up to 2030 in my view, especially if CAB3 succeed. But the man would be hoping to lead Zimbabwe for the rest of his life. Mnangagwa is not prepared, and he has demonstrated beyond reasonable doubt that he is not prepared to hand over power to anyone. Of course, there is a thinking that he wants to hand it to Mnangagwa Chapure. It's not yet a clear-cut, done deal. It is also deception. The very similar deception tactics that were used on retired General Chiwenga in 2017. Mnangagwa was told, you are just going to lead the country for 5 years. After 5 years, you hand over political power to me. What did he do? He did not do that. At the moment, he is still holding, clinging onto power, trying to look for a chance to totally get rid of retired General Chiwenga. And also, as long as retired General Chiwenga is still alive, as long as war veterans who are opposed to Emmerson Tambutso Mnangagwa, they are still alive, and as long as also retired Marshal Muchena is still around, I can tell you that it's not a clear-cut done deal for Emmerson Tambutso Mnangagwa. Remember, they have been trying to meet this man for several times. It has been reported that numerous meetings have been organized against with Emmerson Tambutso Mnangagwa. Why are the generals opting to engage Mnangagwa? Because to them, violence is the last resort. To them, and that is where we are going to, because Constitutional Amendment Bill number 3 has been actually a red line, especially to the retired General Chiwenga faction. So if Emmerson Tambutso Mnangagwa decides to continue with illegal Constitutional Amendment Bill number 3 of 2026, then they will have to force him. Remember, at one point, Blessed Keza, before he died, he indicated that we will not allow Emmerson Tambutso Mnangagwa to lead the country up to 2030. If he does so, then we will be forced to fight with him, to stop Emmerson Tambutso Mnangagwa. So there is a lot, like I keep on saying, that is happening behind the scenes at the moment. It's not a clear-cut victory for Mnangagwa, with the lower house having approved this illegal Constitutional Amendment Bill number 3 set to go the Senate. That is on the 7th of July. There is still a long way. And to me, this bill will not determine who takes over or who remains in power in Zimbabwe. It will not determine Mnangagwa going to 2030. Unless if Mnangagwa is able to actually resist and have actually sufficient control of the military. Events that we saw, especially during the period when Constitutional Amendment Bill number 3 of 2026 was in Parliament, those events should actually show you that as much as many may think that Emmerson Tambutso Mnangagwa still holds some power, but events demonstrated that it's not at all. Not at all. If Mnangagwa was powerful in Zimbabwe, Chiwenga would have been arrested, Muchena would have been arrested. Look at other people, especially who are not retired generals, who speaks like retired generals. If you are just an ordinary citizen and you are in Zimbabwe, remember these are retired generals that are in Zimbabwe. They speak with Emmerson Tambutso Mnangagwa in Zimbabwe. They are not in exile. And it's clear to them, we don't want this CAB3 in a manner it has come. Subject it to a referendum. And they have told him that, remember, ZANU-PF also belongs to us. We are loyal to ZANU-PF, not necessarily loyal to an individual, and will not allow ZANU-PF being reduced into an individual property. And a lot of mechanisms have been tried, launching challenges, judiciary challenges, flooding the Constitutional Court. Remember, the constitutional applications that were made to the Constitutional Court at the moment having been dealt with, and the Constitutional Court will have to deal with them case by case. And definitely, which faction was leading that process? It was none other than the faction of retired General Chiwenga. A lot is still at play. Of course, they tried to stop the members of parliament from proceeding with the process, and the members of parliament, they were paid a lot of they were promised, in fact, a lot of money, though most of them, they were not paid that particular money. They chose money. They decided to actually risk their lives because monies were exchanged. We saw the dramatic events taking place, but the process is still far from being over at the moment. You can see Emmerson Tambutso Mnangagwa, even though the bill has actually sailed through the parliament, there is still no celebration. That on its own tells you that a lot is at stake, and a lot is happening behind the scene in an effort to try and address this current constitutional crisis. In Zimbabwe at the moment, there is a constitutional crisis, a serious one, and it is turning out to be extremely serious, and where the country is going to in solving, and unfortunately, it's either Mnangagwa will have to decide that this matter is concluded peacefully or not. If this CAB3 continues, definitely where the country is heading to is actually a disastrous moment. And unfortunately, this has to be the legacy of Emmerson Tambutso Mnangagwa. He wants to see the blood of the people of Zimbabwe being spilled. He wants to see violence being used to actually deal with a simple matter, that is for him to withdraw this illegal constitutional amendment bill number 3 of 2026. I know to ordinary people it looks like already those who are opposing CAB3, they have lost. No, in Zimbabwe, issues of succession has never been decided by ballpoint and paper, especially ZANU-PF being in charge. If that would be the first case, Mnangagwa would have broken the history of ZANU-PF. Let's watch. You know, in Zimbabwe at the moment, a day is a lot of time. A week is a lot of time. Up to the 7th, the process has to go through Senate, and that would start on the 7th of July. I mean, the days left, still a lot of time for many things to happen. You can see, if you are a normal analyst, that things are not okay in Zimbabwe at the moment. Thank you very much for watching us. If you're watching us for the first time, please do remember to press the subscribe button so that next time when we beam live, you become the very first one to watch us. You can financially support this channel by pressing the join button and be part of our members who are the heartbeat of this channel. You can equally do so by pressing the thanks button and send us stars. Is out. Let me love and leave you. We'll be back in no time with more.